Hare Krishna. Prabhuji Sanmati. Dhanav Pranam, all Guru Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining morning chanting. So anybody likes to read this japa affirmation to give us encouragement? Hare Krishna. I hope you all had wonderful weekend. Hare Krishna. Is it audible now?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah. Wonderful, Mother. Yes. So you want to read, Mother?
Yes, Prabhuji. I'll read, Prabhuji. I meditate on the meaning of the holy name as I chant. Be conscious on an emotional level of what the Maha Mantra means. In order to connect deeply with the holy name, we have to cultivate an appropriate mood before and whilst chanting. Ask yourself, why am I chanting? What is the goal of chanting? What does chanting mean? This may help to bring your consciousness and heart in alignment with the meaning of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you for reading. Yes. So this is what? So 3 questions. 1, 2, 3. Why I am chanting? Why am I chanting? What is the goal of chanting? And what does chanting mean? So we all know the answers. Why am I chanting? What is the goal of chanting? What does chanting mean? So if we ask these questions to ourselves and meditate upon these questions, be conscious about on this Maha Mantra, great deliverance of mind, ultimately to control our mind and focus on the holy name and in attentively the lotus feet of the Lord. Why am I chanting? What is the goal of chanting? What does chanting mean? Quick answers, Prabhujis and Mothers, please. Why am I chanting? What is the goal of chanting? What does chanting means? Please help here with your answers.
Prabhuji, to go back to Godhead, Prabhuji, goal of chanting. Why am I chanting means to control our senses.
To purify ourselves. Okay.
To purify ourselves. Yes, Prabhuji. What does chanting mean? To serve the Lord, Prabhuji.
Of course, yeah. The meaning, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra itself, the service to the Lord. Please engage me in your service.
Remembering Krishna.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah. Service only. This is service. This is a back to God. Ultimately, why I am chanting? To purify our existence. That is the only way. Chanting is the only way and is the best means to in this age of Kali Yuga. Hare Nama, Kevalam, and there is one more verse, Bhagavatam. Kalikalena Nama Rupa Krishna Avatara. Krishna appeared in this age of Kali as a holy names of the Lord. Kalikalena Nama Rupa Krishna Avatara. Okay, yeah. So please, these are the wonderful meditations. Every day we are reading. Please focus on it and try to chant properly. Our mind is always tricks us here and there, jumping here and there, just like monkey, different thoughts. So let us focusly and attentively chant. Yeah, with Mangalakshana prayer, let us begin within our readings. Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, entitled as Knowledge of the Absolute. Knowledge of the Absolute. We read up to 15 verses till last week. Let us continue from the 16th verse. This is also one of the important verse. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritinojjana artho jigyasur artharthi jnani cha bharatarshava. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O best among the Bharatas, four kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me. The distressed, the desire of wealth, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the absolute. Purport. Unlike the miscreants, these are adherents of the regulative principles of the scriptures, and they are called Sukritinaha, or those who obey the rules and regulations of scriptures, the moral and social laws, and are more or less devoted to the Supreme Lord. Out of these, there are four classes of men: those who are sometimes distressed, those who are in need of money, those who are sometimes inquisitive, and those who are sometimes searching after knowledge of the absolute truth. These persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service under different conditions. These are not pure devotees because they have some aspiration to fulfill in exchange for devotional service. Pure devotional service is without aspiration and without desire for material profit. The Bhakti Rasam of the Sindhu 1.1.11 defines pure devotion thus: Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavrutam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktir uttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. Let me complete. Okay. When these four kinds of persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service and are completely purified by the association of pure devotee, they also become pure devotees. As far as the miscreants are concerned, for them, devotional service is very difficult because their lives are irregular, and without spiritual goals. But even some of them, by chance, when they come in contact with a pure devotee, also become pure devotees. Those who are always busy with fruitive activities come to the Lord in material distress, and at the time associate with pure devotees and become in their distress devotees of the Lord. Those who are simply frustrated also come sometimes to associate with the pure devotees and become inquisitive to know about God. Similarly, when the dry philosophers are frustrated in every field of knowledge, they sometimes want to learn of God, and they come to the Supreme Lord to render devotion service and thus transcend knowledge of the impersonal Brahman and the localized Paramatma and come to the personal conception of Godhead by the grace of the Supreme Lord or his pure devotee. On the whole, when the distressed, the inquisitive, the seekers of knowledge, and those who are in need of money are free from all material desires, and when they fully understand that material remuneration is nothing to do with spiritual improvement, they become pure devotees. As long as such a purified stage is not attained, devotees in transcendental service to the Lord are tainted with fruitive activities. They search for mundane knowledge, etc. So one has to transcend all this before one come to the stage of pure devotion service. Pure devotion service definition, Rupa Goswami is given this one. Simple. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavrutam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktiruttama. Without any material gain or profit, one should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna. That is called pure devotion service. So in Bhakti Shastri, we are going to read next book after this 18th chapter. Yeah. So if you have material motives, material desires, so all these four classes of men are not pure devotees. Prabhupada clearly mentioned here. They have some material motive, material gain they are looking for. But pure devotional service, divide of all those, completely renders devotional service without any profit, adoration, or gain or anything. Yes. Mother is, you can pick up this verse and please read.
The one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. For I am very dear to him and he is dear to me. Purport. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Free from all contaminations of material desires, the distressed, the inquisitive, the penniless, and the seeker after supreme knowledge can all become pure devotees. But out of them, he who is in knowledge of the absolute truth and free from all material desires becomes a really pure devotee of the Lord. And of the four orders, the devotee who is in full knowledge and is at the same time engaged in devotional service is, the Lord says, the best. By searching after knowledge, one realizes that his self is different from his material body. And when further advanced, he comes to the knowledge of impersonal Brahman and Paramatma. When one is fully purified, he realizes that his constitutional position is to be the eternal servant of God. So, by association with pure devotees, the inquisitive, the distressed, the seeker after material amelioration, and the man in knowledge all become themselves pure. But in the preparatory stage, the man who is in full knowledge of the Supreme Lord and is at the same time executing the devotional service is very dear to the Lord. He who is situated in pure knowledge of the transcendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so protected in devotional service that material contamination cannot touch him. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Mother, Samyukta Mother, please read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but he who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. Being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me, the highest and most perfect goal. Purport. It is not the devotees who are less complete in knowledge are not dear to the Lord. The Lord says that all are magnanimous because anyone who comes to the Lord for any purpose is called a Mahatma or great soul. The devotees who want some benefit out of devotional service are accepted by the Lord because there is an exchange of affection. Out of affection, they ask the Lord for some material benefit, and when they get it, they become so satisfied that they also advance in devotional service. But the devotee in full knowledge is considered to be very dear to the Lord because his only purpose is to serve the Supreme Lord with love and devotion. Such a devotee cannot live a second without contacting or serving the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is very fond of his devotee and cannot be separated from him. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4.68, the Lord says, Sadhavo Hrudayam Mahyam Sadhunam Hrudayam Tva Aham Madhyantena Gnanati Naham Tebhyo Manag Api. The devotees are always in my heart, and I am always in the hearts of the devotees. The devotees does not know anything beyond me, and I also cannot forget the devotee. There is a very intimate relationship between me and the pure devotees. Pure devotees in full knowledge are never out of spiritual touch, and therefore they are very much dear to me. Hare Krishna.
So beautiful verse, no? Sadhva Hrudayam Mahyam Sadhu Nam Hrudayam Tvaham Madh Anyatena Jananti Naham Tibhyo Manag Api. Direct Krishna himself is saying the devotees are always in my heart and I am always in the hearts of the devotees. The devotees does not know anything beyond me and I also cannot forget the devotee. There is a very intimate relationship between me and the pure devotees. Pure devotees in full knowledge are never out of spiritual touch. Therefore, they are very much dear to me. So that's a beautiful. So when we hold the bead bag and chant the holy names, means Krishna is with us. We are with Krishna. Right? The purpose is to engage me in your service means be with Krishna. That's why some devotees I see in Vrindavan and some places, holy places, always chant. They never ever leave the bead bag. Only some resting time. Apart from their resting time, they put their bead bag, and that means how much realizations they have, how many because see they are feeling the spiritual bliss that Krishna is with me. So that's where, devotees, pure devotees are very rare. Bahunam Janmanamante, Gyanavan Prapadyate, Vasudevam Sarvamiti, so Mahatma Sudurlava. See again, see how beautiful, it's suddenly come to my mind, and the next verse is just like that. It's Krishna's mercy only. I never seen, and suddenly I seen, wow, super. Okay. Bahunam Janmanamante, Gyanavan Ma Prapadyate, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. So, yeah. Sandhya Mother, please go ahead and read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah. Please read, Mother.
Yes, Prabhuji. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Purport: the living entity, while executing devotional service or transcendental rituals, after many births, may actually become situated in transcendental pure knowledge that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal of spiritual realization. In the beginning of spiritual realization, while one is trying to give up one's attachment to materialism, there is some learning towards impersonalism. But when one is further advanced, he can understand that there are activities in the spiritual life and that these activities constitute devotional service. Realizing this, he becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrenders to him. At such a time, one can understand that Lord Sri Krishna's mercy is everything, that he is the cause of all causes, and that this material manifestation is not independent from him. He realizes the material world to be a perverted reflection of spiritual variegatedness and realizes that in everything there is a relationship with Supreme Lord Krishna. Thus, he thinks of everything in relation to Vasudeva or Sri Krishna. Such a universal vision of Vasudeva precipitates one's full surrender to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna as the highest goal. Such surrendered great souls are very rare. This verse is very nicely explained in the third chapter, verse 14 and 15 of Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Sahasra Shirsha Purusha, Sahasraksha Sahasrapad, Sabhumim Vishwato Vritva, Tadishtad Dasangulam. Purusha Evedam Sarvam, Yad Bhutam Yacha Bhavyam, Utamritatva Sheshano, Yad Anenati Tirohati. Lord Vishnu has thousands of heads, thousands of eyes, and thousands of feet, entirely encompassing the whole universe. He still extends beyond it by 10 fingers' breadth. He is in fact this entire universe. He is all that was and all that will be. He is the Lord of immortality and of all that is nourished by food. In the Chandogya Upanishad 5.1.15, it is said, Navai Vacho na Chakshumshi na Shrotrani na Manam Siti Achakshate Pranaiti Eva Chakshate Pranohai Evaitani Sarvani Bhavanti. In the body of a living being, neither the power to speak, nor the power to see, nor the power to hear, nor the power to think is the prime factor. It is life which is the center of all activities. Similarly, Lord Vasudeva, or the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is a prime entity in everything. In this body, there are powers of speaking, of seeing, of hearing, of mental activities, etc. But these are not important if not related to the Supreme Lord. And because Vasudeva is all pervading and everything is Vasudeva, the devotee surrenders in full knowledge. Bhagavad Gita 7.17 and 11.40.
Haribol. Thank you very much, Mother. Thank you. Prabhupada quotes from different scriptures, Shvetashvatara Upanishad and Chandogya Upanishad, in connection with this verse. After many births and deaths, he is who actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. That means pure devotees very hardly you will be able to find. This is also one of the important ones. Who is there? Yeah, I've seen Hema Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu.
Yeah. Thank you for joining, Mataji. You would like to read?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. This is one of the important words, Mataji. Kamaisthaisthar hritagnyana prapadyante anya devata tam niyamam asthaya prakrutya niyata swaya. Yeah, translation purpose. Yes.
Translation. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Perfect. Those who are free from all material contaminations surrender unto the Supreme Lord and engage in his devotional service. As long as the material contamination is not completely washed off, they are by nature non-devotees. But even those who have material desires and who resort to the Supreme Lord are not so much attracted by external nature. Because of approaching the right goal, they soon become free from all material lust. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is recommended that whether one is a pure devotee and is free from all material desires, or is full of material desires, or desires liberation from material contamination, he should in all cases surrender to Vasudeva and worship him. As stated in Bhagavatam 2.3.10, Akama sarva kama va kamo va moksha kama udaradvi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Less intelligent people who have lost their spiritual sense take shelter of demigods for immediate fulfillment of material desires. Generally, such people do not go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they are in the lower modes of nature, ignorance and passion, and therefore worship various demigods. Following the rules and regulations of worship, they are satisfied. The worshippers of demigods are motivated by small desires and do not know how to reach the supreme goal. But a devotee of Supreme Lord is not misguided. Because in Vedic literature, there are recommendations for worshipping different gods for different purposes. Example, a deceased man is recommended to worship the sun. Those who are non-devotees of the Lord think that for certain purposes demigods are better than Supreme Lord. But a pure devotee knows that the Supreme Lord Krishna is the master of all. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila 5.142, it is said, Ekale Ishvara Krishna, Ara Sababritya. Only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is master, and all others are servants. Therefore, a pure devotee never goes to demigods for satisfaction of his material needs. He depends on the Supreme Lord, and the pure devotee is satisfied with whatever he gives. Okay.
Thank you, Mataji. Yes. Thank you for reading. Yeah. Akinjam Prabhu. 720.
1 second.
Yeah.
I will everyone's heart as the super soul, as soon as one desires worship some demigod, I make his faith study so that he can devote himself to the particular duty. Purport. God has given independence to everyone. Therefore, if a person desires to have material enjoyment and wants very sincerely to have such facilities from the material demigod, the Supreme Lord as Super Soul in everyone's heart understands and gives the facilities to such person. As a person, as the Supreme Father, all the living entities, he does not interfere with their independence, but gives all facilities so that they can fulfill their material desires. Some may ask why all powerful God gives facilities to the living entities for enjoying this material world and so lets them fall in the trap of illusory energy. The answer is that if a Supreme Lord as a super soul does not give such facilities, then there is no meaning to independence. Therefore, he gives everyone full independence, what one likes, but his ultimate instruction we find in the Bhagavad Gita. One should give up all the engagement and fully surrender unto him. That will make the man happy. Both the living entities and the demigods are subordinate to the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the living entity cannot worship the demigod by his own desire, nor can the demigod bestow any benediction without the will, without the supreme will. As it is said, not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Generally, persons who are distanced in the material world go to the demigods as they are advised in the Vedic literature. A person wanting some particular thing may worship such and such a demigod. For example, a deceased person is recommended to worship the sun god. A person wanting education may worship the goddess of learning, Saraswati, and a person wanting a beautiful wife may worship the goddess Uma and Uma, the wife of Lord Shiva. In this way, there are recommendations in the Shastras, Vedic scriptures for different modes of worship of different demigods. And because of the particular living entity wants to enjoy a particular material facility, the Lord inspires him with strong desire to achieve that benediction from the particular demigod. And so he successfully receives the benedictions. The particular mode of devotional attitude of the living entity towards a particular type of demigod is also arranged by the Supreme Lord. The demigods cannot infuse the living entities with such an affinity, but because he is the Supreme Lord or the Supreme Soul who is present in the hearts of all the living entities, Krishna gives impetus to the man to worship certain demigods. The demigods are actually different parts of universal body of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, they have no independence. In the Vedic literature, it is stated that the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a super soul is also present within the heart of the demigods. Therefore, he arranges through the demigods to fulfill the desire of the living entities. But both the demigods and the living entities are dependent on the supreme will. They are not independent.
Super, pretty clear, no? The faith is also giving from Krishna is giving that faith to worship particular demigod. Last statement is very beautiful. The Supreme Personality of God as Super Soul is also present within the heart of the demigod. Therefore, he arranges through the demigod to fulfill the desire of the living entity. And last line, but both the demigod and the living entity are dependent on the supreme will. They are not independent. So Krishna is the sanctioner for everything, and he is the source, and he is the means also. Right? This is a beautiful verse. One of the yo mam yam tanum bhakta shraddharchitam ichati tasya tasyachalam shraddham tam yeva vidhamyam. So Samyukta in our evening classes, Krishna Sayantram classes, we described about the demigod worship, right? So ultimately, the faith is coming from Krishna. The faith is giving to that particular living entity, the person, the worshipping the demigods. You know, he's situated in everyone's heart, including demigod, including the living entity. As soon as one desires means Krishna also knows, he has this desire. So he has to fulfill. So I am fulfilling through these demigods. That is a proper understanding. Right. Okay, we'll stop here. Actually, we'll do one time the sloka recitation. Actually, I'm planning to put in the evening because I'm going to office these days. It's going to be a little rush for me. So evenings, some devotees asked in the evenings also, like Shilpa Mataji, Jyotsna Mataji. So we'll do in the evenings, 1 hour, 45 minutes like that. This is the last week of the sloka recitation for those 6 chapters. Let us practice nicely in the evening. But now let us do one time. I'll do one time and one Mataji do one time. Okay? Yeah. And then tomorrow onwards, we'll do in the evenings only. We'll see today in the evening also. So let me share the slokas PPT. Yeah. I will recite once all these 12 slokas quickly. Then one of the Mataji can recite and we'll bind up. Yeah. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. 6.47 Yoginamapi sarvesham adgaterantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yuktamo mataha. And of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, he is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. Slide 29. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvalokamaheeshwaram suhrudam sarva bhutanam jnatva mam shantim richati. A person in full conscious of me, knowing me to the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. 522. Yehi samsparsha jabhoga Dukkayona evati adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. 434. Tadvidde pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. 4.9. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naitimane Arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not upon leaving the body take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. 4.8. Paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya chadushkrutam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. 4.2. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshiyo viduhu sakale neha mahata yogo nasta parantava. The supreme science was thus received through the side chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. 327. Prakrute kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimodhatma kartaham iti manyate. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself and the doer of the activities, and they are in actuality carried out of the three modes of material nature. 2.44. Bhogaishwarya prashaktanam taya pahruta chetasa vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhau navidhiyate. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotion service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. 220. Najayate mruyate va kadachinnayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuya ajo nitya shashvato yam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He is not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and removable. He is not slain when the body is slain. 213. Dehinosmin eta dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara tata dehantaram praptis dhirastatra namuhyati. As embodied soul continually passes, in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. 2.7. कार्पण्यदोषोपहता स्वभाव पृच्छामि त्वं धर्मसम्मूढचेत यश्रेयस्य निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं स्वाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me what certain for what is best for me. What is best for me? Now I am your disciple and soul surrender unto you. Please instruct me. Jai. So thank you very much. One Mataji, please recite, then we'll wind up. Hare Krishna.
హరే కృష్ణ ప్రభు.
You want to recite, Prabhu?
మాతాజీ అని చెప్పారు కదా ప్రభు, ఎవరన్నా మాతాజీ
Yeah. Yes.
ఎవరన్నా లేకపోతే రీసెట్ చేస్తాను.
నేను చేస్తాను ప్రభుజీ, ఎవరు చేయట్లేదు.
చేయండి మాతాజీ.
2.7 कार्पण्यदोषोपहत स्वभाव पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेत यच्छ्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्. Translation. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and the soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. 2.13 Dehi nosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuhyati. Translation. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. 2.20 न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूया अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. Translation. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He is not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. 2.44 भोगैश्वर्य प्रसक्तानां त्रायापहृतचेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धि समाधौ न विधीयते. Translation. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. 3.27 प्रकृते क्रियमाणानि गुणै कर्माणि सर्वशः अहंकार विमूढात्मा कर्ताहम् इति मन्यते. Translation. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. 4.2 Evam parampara praptim imam rajarishyo viduhu sakale neha mahata yogo nashtata parantapa. Translation. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. 4.8 Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Translation. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. 4.9 Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. Translation. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. 4.34 तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्षान्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः. Translation. Just try to learn the truth by approaching the spiritual master. inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. 5.22 ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःख योनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्त कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः. Translation: An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. 5.29 Bhoktaram yajya tapasam sarvalokamaheeshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. Translation: A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. 6.47 Yoginamapi sarvesham mattatenantaratmana.
సరే మాతాజీ ఇంకోటి అయిపోయిందా?
Right.
భోక్తారం అయిపోయిందా?
అయిపోయింది.
యా
योगिनामपि सर्वेषां मत्कतेनान्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान् भजते यो मां समे युक्ततमो मतः. Translation: And of all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. You want to do, Prabhu? Prasad Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. I will try, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
We'll join with you. Please go ahead from opposite, from 6th chapter.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay, 2.7. Karpanya dosho pahatasva bhava ruchami tvam dharma sammudha cheta echreyasan nishchitam bruhi tanme sishyasteham shadhi mam tvam prapannam. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of misery weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. 2.13 Dehinosmin yada dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara tada dehantara prapti dhirastatrana muhyati. All the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age. The soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. 2.20 Najayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavitavan bhuyah ajo nityah shasvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. 2.44 Bhoktaram Bhogeshwarya Prasaktanam Taya Pakruta Chetanam Vyavasayatmika Buddhihi Samadhona Vidhiyate. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for the devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. 3.27 Prakrute kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasyaha ahankara vimudatma karta hamiti manyate. The spiritual soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in the actually carried out by the three modes of material nature. 4.2 Evam parampara praptam imam rajashiyo viduhu sakale nehe mahata yogo nashtaha param tapa. The supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood in this way But in course of time, the succession was broken. And therefore, the science as it is appears to be lost. 4.8. Pavitranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha drushkrutam dharma samsthapanadhaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the
Yes.
miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium. 4.9. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tattvadeham punarjarma naiti mamemi. So Arjuna, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities, does not, upon leaving the body, takes his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. 4.34. Tadviddi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. 5.22. Yehi samsat praja bhoga dukha yonaha yevate adyantavantaha kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasure have a beginning and an end. And so the wise man does not delight in them. 5.29. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvalokam maheshwaram suhudam sarvabhutanam jnatva mam shanti mruchati. A person in full conscience of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigod, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. 6.47. Yoginamepi sarvesham madgate nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yukta tamo mataha. Translation. And of all yogis, the one with a great faith who always abates in me, thinks of me within himself and renders the transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. Hare Krishna.
Akinjan Prabhu is saying, I am not saying. You are ecstatic today.
Nothing like that.
Okay. Yes, this is needed. In Krishna consciousness, we have to be enthusiastic plus ecstatic. Nice, no? Right.
It's all just our mercy, bro. That's all. Nothing else.
You are improving nicely. Thank you. Thank you, all devotees. Dhanavad pranam again. Vancha kalpatarubhascha kripa sindhu evacha.
Patitanam Vaishnavibhyo
Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Srila Prabhupada translated book reading ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Nitai Gaur Hari Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Hare.